Buddha.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hopefully, everybody's doing well. Hopefully, you're all having a good day and a good week. I have our special guest waiting in the back. Dan, if you're ready to go, just if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up and I'll bring you up, man. Awesome. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you may be in the world.
Late morning, 11 a.m. here on the West Coast.
Okay, so you're on the West. Okay, I'm an hour ahead of you. So
there you go.
Yeah. So how's your day going, man? How are you feeling? Off season's here. Any big plans? Just spending more time with the family? What's going on, man?
Yeah, I got home, took a trip to New York. My wife and I went and checked out some Broadway plays.
Nice.
Going elk hunting for a week. I'm going to Hawaii next week. Everything else just mixed in, workouts, baseball, and being a dad, being a husband. Just normal off season going on here.
Yeah, for sure. So, I know you're even with the off season, I know sounds like you stay busy, but I do appreciate you taking the time to come out, to come on and joining us. So
absolutely
appreciate that. But yeah, cool that you went to New York. I was actually born and raised there. So cool that you got to check out some plays. And are you an avid hunter?
I've started going. I can see there's actually over my shoulder is an elk right there. But every time we get tags, we go. I was fortunate enough this year to shoot a spike, elk that is, and then got a deer tag for archery that starts up here in a couple weeks. So I really enjoy it. I love getting away from cell service for a week where I have to make an effort to get on my phone. I have to drive 15 minutes up a mountain to go find this self-service spot. I really enjoy a lot of things about the outdoors. Like you said, you were from New York or born in New York. And, I enjoyed my 3 days there for vacation. I enjoyed all my 3 days at a time there while playing in the big leagues. But I'm I live on 5 acres in the middle of nowhere with mountain views like that. That's more my speed. So, it's definitely an avid outdoorsman. I wouldn't say a very successful one at that. I enjoy, but I do enjoy hiking in the woods with weapons. So there we go.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, I live here in Colorado, so
okay.
I don't live on 5 acres of land, but when I'm driving west, the mountains are right there, so it's always a beautiful sight. And and I got a buddy that goes hunting, so if he shoots a deer or an elk, he'll hook me up. So I'm like, hey man, appreciate
good
you.
thing.
So,
yeah, no, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, elk meat, deer meat, it's all good stuff. But let's talk a little bit about you, man. I know you've been in the major leagues for a little while. How did you start playing? Get into playing baseball? Were there other sports that you played when you were growing up? When you were in high school, college?
I have a 20-something part podcast devoted to that whole story, but I wasn't good at sports. I'll give you the nutshell version here just for time's sake, but I wasn't very good at sports growing up. I was always the shortest, fattest kid, last one picked type of thing. And it wasn't until I got into high school, even my sophomore year of high school, I finally got a chance to play at just even make the team. I didn't even make my freshman team, really. I was kind of the equipment guy. I caught the bullpens, through the batting practice, got one at bat all year type of thing. It wasn't until I walked on at Marshall University that really things started to kind of turn for me. And I went into the head coach at the end of my first semester there and just said, hey, my family doesn't come from a lot, we never struggled, but it's not like we weren't super far, just normal American family. Right. And I was like, this whole idea of $30,000 a year in debt just sounds daunting to me and scary. And I don't even really know how to comprehend that. So I was like, I need to transfer. I'm going to go to a junior college back home. And he goes, well, just give me a couple days and before you finalize your decision and whatnot. He's like, I don't want you to go. And he came back and said, I got a 98% scholarship for you. And so I was able to stay, and, life kind of turned around for me, betting on myself from that kind of stuff where I was willing to leave and go home. I wasn't trying to put pressure on him. I didn't even know that he had scholarships offered to be able to be offered to me at that point. But we did that. And then it really, I was just such a product of the system with the Oakland A's minor league pitching development at the time, and it was a product of all the guys that coached me along the way. Gil Patterson and Craig Lefferts were huge influences in my career. But there was, multiple guys along the way. But those two guys, I spent a lot of time with them and really learned how to be a pitcher, learned how to develop into different kind of stuff. I was just kind of a thrower when I first got drafted, and I was just really kind of in the right place at the right time. And I feel very blessed to have been in the big leagues a little for 5 years. And, I haven't pitched in the big league since 2019, even though I've been pitching ever since. And it's just crazy to think about what 2019 was like, how long ago that feels now. But, I'm still trying to get back, still trying to finish, and get up there one more time so my son can watch me pitch in the big leagues.
That would be amazing. I like your name down there, ball thrower guy. So it's
a little humility with it, right?
Yeah. Hey, I respect that. But I know you were drafted by the Oakland A's. And you've played with several different teams. I mean, of course, baseball, and you also played in Korea too.
Yep.
Was there any team that you liked playing for? I know you said you enjoyed your time in Oakland, and I'll talk about Oakland with you here a little bit, but I know you played for the Cubs, for the Marlins, Astros, the Cincinnati Reds, Orioles. I mean, you were all over, like I said. Was there any organization that you liked playing for the most, or did every organization? And he's laughing because he's like, I got some stories.
No. So it's so different, man.
Yeah.
I grew up. It sounds crazy, like in today's world, just to say this out loud, but I grew up like a Yankees fan and a Dodgers fan. Like I was just a kid that loved baseball. Like those were the two teams I followed, mostly because we had KTLA and we had the Yes Network, like in the middle of the summertime in Eastern Oregon. Like my parents, that's two channels we had. So I would watch baseball every day starting. I'd watch the Yankees game early, and then I'd watch the Dodgers game late with my dad because my family comes from Southern California, and that was my dad's favorite team. So I just inherited it, right? But like that goes away when you become a player, and for the most part, like those things really fade away. Like which kind of stinks because I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm a baseball nerd. I love baseball. Like I geek out over baseball. I watch baseball on my darn off days. Like that's just what I do. Sure. I just love baseball. But you kind of lose this whole like interest of like, I like this team or that team. And it becomes more about the people involved and the players involved. And I am circling back to your question, I promise. And so
you're good.
Part of that kind of goes away. You got to get lost in the shuffle of, where is your favorite place to be? Like I kind of loved them all for different reasons. Like I truly did. So loved Cincinnati. I loved the small town atmosphere, but then like 5 minutes later, like you're in the heart of Cincinnati downtown. It's just different, right? Sure. And then you can be in Kentucky in a few minutes and out in like a highway that feels like a back road. And it's just, I loved that aspect of it. I loved living on South Beach. I thought it was really cool. A lot of the history and living in Baltimore, like all that stuff. And albeit that one was short, that was only a few months, but it's like, and everything else, like living in Oakland, like that's the West Coast. I played most of my career at that point in the state of California because I was in Stockton, Sacramento, and Oakland coming up. It's like a lot of time spent in California. But I'm only from a few hours north of there, really. And so it just kind of, they all had their own thing that you really love, but ultimately, like you're there for such a short period of time. I mean, in the course of a summer, you're gone for baseball season 6 months and you got half of it on the road. So I'm living in a city for 3 months, right? Yeah. And I get 10 days off if I'm lucky, like 10 days off at home, counting 4 of those for the All-Star break if I stay in the town. So we don't get a whole bunch of chance to explore. And so like each team had its own things. I never had one check bounce from the employer, which is always a plus, right? So paychecks always came in, kept the family fed, paid the bills. And, I just really enjoyed each place for what it was, truthfully.
That's a fair answer. I know you started your career out in Oakland. it was kind of a bittersweet for the city of Oakland for the A's to no longer be playing at the Coliseum. Right. And now their, temporary home is going to be in Sacramento. Eventually they're going to move to Vegas. I mean, I guess you as a player and you as a fan, right? How do you feel about all that? Because there was a lot of history in that stadium, and you got to play for those guys. Yeah. How do you feel about this whole thing ending for Oakland?
Dude, it's such a sensitive subject, right? For those loyal fans. Like I walked in as a 23-year-old kid, 32,000 people on a Friday night for my major league debut. Like I walked into this like electric atmosphere and loved it. But the harsh reality of it is that wasn't the case enough, right? And so it just sucks. It sucks for those absolute loyal fans, but they just did not fill the place enough to keep it going. There's plenty of days where there's 2,000 people in the stadium, right? And so it's just like that part sucks where it's like all this stuff. And I know it's probably more than that. I know that there's a whole side that's like thinks it's a conspiracy that the owner just wanted to get out of there anyway, wanted to go do this, wanted to go do that. But it's kind of like this like odd relationship, right? Where the players, we need the fans to show up. We need the fans in the stands. We need the fans buying jerseys. We need the fans, watching the streaming deals on TV. Like we work for the fans, right? We're entertainers. And, so whatever the situation was that people weren't coming to the games enough in person or buying, whatever it was, it forced this stuff out. And my heart just breaks for the Will McNeils of the world, who is right field Will, who is the guy that started the Balfour Rage. That this dude, you didn't know who he was when you first met him as an A's player, but like you'd see him in spring training, and then you'd like see him in high A, you'd see him in triple A. You'd see this dude This dude catches a game, an A's game, whether it's an A's game, a AAA game, or a high A game. This guy literally catches an A's game every single day of the week. And he just like, you just get to know this dude. Like whether you want to or not, you're gonna like get to know right field Will. And like, those are the people. There's tons of stories about people like that in the city of Oakland that are passionate and not bought into the team. And my heart breaks for them. It truly does. Like, I hope they get something, right? Because the Warriors moved, the Raiders left, the A's left. Like, that sucks. I get it. That sucks. That's a huge facility, a huge thing that's just gone for all those people. And like, it's happened in St. Louis. It's happened, the Dodgers moved back in the day, right? Like all these teams move. Like that's not like that stuff happens. Like that stuff happens. Montreal no longer has a team. Like all this stuff, like DC didn't, now it does. Like all this stuff, like these things happen. But it's the first one that I've ever really paid attention to. I don't really remember a whole lot when the Marlins started and they, when the Expos left, or however the exact transition of that was. Like I think they went to the Nationals technically, right? That's what it was.
The Expos went to the Nationals. Moved to Washington and became the Nationals.
But ownership went from Expos to South Florida. That's what it was. It was like a weird, It was like a 3-team trade type of deal. But anyway, so like I just don't like remember any of those. Like I wasn't like involved in any of those, if you will. And so it just hurts for those fans, man. But it's gonna be interesting. I'm sure the stadium in Vegas is gonna be awesome. I mean, I've gone in and out of Vegas for years. I got family that lives in Henderson, which is a suburb of Las Vegas, and like coming in there, and like my wife went down there to watch a Taylor Swift concert. Like they got the basketball arena there that's used for like the Final Four and for other stuff. Now they got the hockey that's in the same spot, right? They got all this like entertainment stuff. It's like the entertainment capital, like live entertainment capital, right? And so it's just like so fun to have that stuff there. And I just kind of, for the folks in Oakland, I just wish it could have been an expansion, not a transition. So my heart breaks for them. Ultimately I know they'll be fine. I hope that, for the sake of what it is, some of them can swallow their pride and become Giants fans, because that's what their best option is now, right? The Bart still reaches that. So hopefully they get a chance to watch that. And for the Wills of the world, I just hope that he finds another team that he can be as passionate about, like honestly, because there's a lot of versions of Will out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just sad for Oakland. I mean, it also doesn't help that not to take a deep dive into it, but the city is a bit of a mess.
Right.
Um, that doesn't help. And then, for years, like, yeah, fans stopped showing up. And at one time, Oakland was a, they had some great players on that team, right? You
Yeah.
had Mark McGuire, you had Jason Giambi, Jeremy Giambi, Ricky Henderson, like, just to name some old school players, some legends that played. And I remember that stadium used to be packed, and
Right.
for it to go from really packed to nobody showing up, I was at a loss as to what in the heck happened to Oakland, to the stadium. It was a little heartbreaking. I mean, I'm glad the fans showed up on the very last day of the game, but at the same time, I'm just like, where were you all before? So
Yeah.
there's also that, but there's always been talks about the Oakland, the A's moving out of Oakland and relocating elsewhere, where that is. I know they're going to move to Sacramento. There was another city close to Oakland that they were talking about. I forget the name of the city, but But as far for you, I know you said obviously we talked about you playing for different teams, and each team presented something a little different, presented a different little experience.
Yeah.
So you did play in Korea. You've had a couple of stints there. What was it like playing in Korea? What was the environment like there compared to Major League Baseball, the fan base? If you wanted to take a little bit of a dive into that.
Yeah. No, it's apples and oranges, man. Like, it truly is. Like, it's baseball. It's baseball. Baseball exists. But like, there's a 5-minute smoke break in the 5th inning. You know what I mean? Like, that's a thing. It's just like, there's just like small nuances that you just don't realize. The umpires leave the field, use the restroom. Whether they smoked or not, I don't know. But that was like, they always called it the smoke break. That's what the translators always told us. And so the guys would literally take a 5-minute break after the 5th. Just was what it was, right? No, but I was there my first year. COVID hit, so we played in front of nobody, which was just, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, it was just empty stadiums, big stadiums, and felt just like that. You're playing in front of nobody, right? And then the second year there, though, we got a chance to play in front of crowds, and it was like every weekend was like 24 to 30,000 people. They all sit on their half of the stadium with the team that they're cheering for. Whenever those guys, the home team's batting, everybody's singing songs and cheering for these players. And then when the visiting team's up, like, the visiting fans that showed up are stand up and they're cheering on, singing their fight songs with the cheerleaders and the cheermaster. It's just a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing, but everybody is just so into the game. Whether or not they know like what's going on strategy wise, they can see the scoreboard. They think every single fly ball is a home run, and they are just so locked into it. I'm convinced that it's like a hobby to be a baseball fan. It's like you're, some people have, like knitting or card collecting or video games. I think that I think that's just a hobby of many people in Korea, is just being a fan of your team. And they're just so bought into every single thing the teams do. And it's epic, man. But it's also like, it's a much smaller country. There's only 10 teams, and it's very, you can drive 6 hours. I think you can cover the whole country. And so it's just like all those teams are packed in close, and all the cities that they're in are packed in close, and it's just fun, dude. But it's a different environment, different level of baseball for sure. Like, it's not Major League Baseball. People always ask, like, is it this, is it that? And I always just tell them, like, listen, like, you just don't know. Like, your rosters, you got guys. My first year, my catcher was 19 years old. Like, he just was. He was probably the best catcher in the country too. He just couldn't hit. But like, it's just like, he could catch everything I threw, so he was my catcher. And it was just like one of those deals where it's just like, at the same time, we also had Lee who played for the Mariners. Daeho Lee is what we call him here in America. But Daeho is like the legend over there. He's the greatest player in the team that I played for in 40 years. And he was our DH and our first baseman, mostly our DH at the end. And he was 40 when he retired. So we literally had like a 21-year age difference on our team, right? And we got guys that played in the big leagues, guys that could play in the big leagues, and we got guys that would get cut from low A teams. Like, it was just kind of all over the map. So to be able to say like what level it was very challenging. It was just good baseball. It was fun baseball. The fans showed up and supported it. I always tell whenever people like would kind of, I was like, yeah, we got jerseys and fans and everything over there, man. We got the full meal deal, TV rights and everything. Like it's just a normal baseball league, but it's just in a different country, right? But when you're there, it's the major leagues. They have a whole baseball show. It's called Baseball Tonight. Believe it or not, they have a whole baseball show devoted to every single night, the Korean Baseball League. Year round, they do this Baseball Tonight show. And it is like their big pastime, man. It's their national pastime. Played in front of sold out stadiums every single weekend and absolutely loved it, dude. It was, I'd go back right now if I could. Like if someone called and offered, like I would be there. Like I absolutely loved it. And it was the cultural experience, everything out. Every Monday was an off day. You play a minor league schedule and you play it in a major league length. And so like you get every Monday off. It's a good spot to be. I really enjoyed my time there and just grateful for the people that I met, the relationships I have from over there, and just really grateful for the whole thing. But yeah, dude, it's just an incredible experience. Added to the cities I've lived in, the places I've done, and just the experiences that baseball has allowed me to have throughout my lifetime.
Yeah, it sounds like, the way you're describing the fans in Korea and the sport of baseball in Korea, it's almost like the European version of a soccer, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, I haven't been to Europe, but I would assume so.
Yeah, well, because I know European soccer fans. I mean, if you watch a game on TV and you watch like let's say two teams from two English clubs playing against each other, you hear those fans, and those fans are loud, and I also, my understanding of the fans in Korea and fans in Japan, because I've had some ex-ball players on the show here. It sounds like, even if a player's having a bad day, they don't boo you. They still support you. They still cheer you on. It just sounds like they're
to a point. Yeah.
To a point.
Okay. To a point.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I know American fans, as you know, man. If you're having a bad game, forget it. And like Yankee, you brought up the Yankees fans. If you're having a bad game, they're gonna let you know.
Yeah. People often feel, it's like, hey, I paid this ticket price. I can say what I want, right? Like that's like an issue in sports, live sports, all since the beginning of time. Right? Yeah. And I think as a player, like you just get it. Like you're like, you know what? Like you probably spent over $100 to come watch this game, and I messed up today. And this game's basically boring now from the third inning on because of my mess up. Like I get it, you know what I mean? Like as fans, like you want to watch, you want to be entertained, you want to see the cool moments, right? And so yeah, but the Korean fans, I don't remember ever getting booed. You know what I mean? And I definitely had like some bad days. Don't get me wrong. But I'm sure I also don't know everything they said. Don't get me wrong. Like any of it, right? But but I never got booed, and I only heard it a few times. I had some teammates that were very like long haul struggling, and I definitely heard there's a very specific Korean cuss word that they like would use in that situation, and I can hear it every now and then when a player that struck out for the fourth time 3 nights in a row kind of deal. But it's not the same. It's not going into Philadelphia. It's not going into New York, either New York. It's different. There's a little more, dare I say, respect towards the athlete in that regard and the profession and how hard it is. And they just treat it differently. It's just different. Yeah. Not better, not worse, just different.
Understood. And so was it hard for you to adjust to a different country? Because I know the culture and the lifestyle is a lot different. I mean, not knowing the language, that also presents a difficulty in itself. I mean, was it hard for you to make that adjustment? And if so, like how long did it take for you to, to adjust to the Korean culture, the country, how they do things? Because obviously with the way they do things is probably going to be, is going to be way different than how they do things in the US. So
it's so one thing that's kind of interesting about Korea is like everywhere you go, mass transit, has everything written in English and in Korean.
Okay.
And that's probably just our part to do to the large military presence in South Korea, right? If something goes wrong, they need those U.S. soldiers to be able to know where they're going, like plain and simple. So every single street sign, everything, you might not know what the word means, but it'll be in English and in Korean. So like, going to get on the bullet train to head up to Seoul. I could do it on my own. At first, heck no, dude. I was like translator at my hip. I wouldn't leave the apartment without him. Because like you just got to get used to failing, right? So it's like I have utmost respect for anybody that I see that clearly doesn't know English, that's like in trying to exist or travel or do whatever. If they're standing in front of line of me in coffee, like I want to try to help them because like I lived it, right? I lived the other side of that, like you just got to get so comfortable with failing and like pointing at signs and ordering the wrong food and like just kind of like stumbling through it at first because it's hard, dude. It's hard to go live in a foreign country. It's hard to go, just be immersed in a culture. I walked into a restaurant and like was looking for menus and there's no menus. They're just like, it's on the wall. And like every restaurant in this whole road, like, one of them served chicken. The next one served 2 different cuts of beef. The next one served 2 different types of pork. That's it. There's no appetizers, no desserts, no this, no that. It's just like they have this. That's it. And I was just like that, that alone took me a little bit to like try to figure out. Because like, you have translators, but they don't like the first day, they're not sitting you down and just like, oh, hey, here's what's different and weird about our country compared to yours, because to them it's normal, right? Like they don't even notice it being different. So there's just like a whole bunch of different stuff. I can't tell you though how many times like I would like be stuck doing something, trying to travel somewhere, even if it's just in my own city, trying to get to, an off day, trying to go down to the beach or hang out or do whatever. And like, I clearly look lost, and complete strangers, still no clue who I was, would like stop and like try to make sure that I knew where I was going and like help me out. Like people were just that kind of kind. Like almost anybody that saw you struggling in a foreign language, even if they didn't speak a lick of English, would try their absolute best to like try to help you figure out where to go. Like even one time I was just like stuck in the subway trying to figure out, I couldn't figure out if I needed to go like which direction. And this guy like stopped and was like, kept talking to me in Korean. And I'm like, no hangul, like me, I don't speak Korean. I'm sorry. Like no hangul. And so finally he just like starts like says something really loud and like everyone turns and looks at us. And I was like he screamed it. And I was just like, what is going on? And all of a sudden this one person from like kind of, 10 people away kind of walks over and starts talking to me in English. And I was like, hey, what did he just yell? And he said, this gentleman is lost and needs help if anyone can speak some English. And he literally just like yelled that to a crowd of strangers. And you're just like, that's awesome, man. Like, that's just like, this guy had no reason to stop and try to help me. Right? I didn't even speak English. I not even like a little bit other than like, hello, like just kind of, I don't know if he was just excited to meet like a big, tall guy from America or what. I don't know. But he was just like, he's like trying to help me. But he called out to somebody. Is anybody around close by speaking in English? This guy over here is lost. You know what I mean? And so like, there's just like, it's just like a different world, different kind of stuff that I'm used to living in small town, Central Oregon. Right. And so like, it just like, it was really cool. I love the life experiences. My son getting a chance to just be immersed in that at such a young age. My wife is pretty shy, and like she's been a lot more like outgoing and open and comfortable with some certain types of failure since then, right? And it's just been such a cool place to be. Feel very blessed to have spent parts of 4 seasons over there. Loved it. It was very emotional when I got let go, and it was just kind of one of those deals where it's just like grateful for every minute. Was it hard? Hell yeah, dude. It was very hard to be away from your family. Sure. Like there's only a few hours a day that everyone's actually awake at the same time. My wife's a nurse, so she's working. So, there's just like so many hours that I don't even get to, I missed like, I left for 10 months in 2020 and I missed 10 months of my son's first, 24 months. I was gone for 10 of them. Like that breaks my heart a little bit, like, it's like real life stuff, dude. But like everyone, just like society and everything else just tells us like, baseball is blessing you financially, so you need to shut up and just go do it. But it's like, dude, at the end of the day, we're all just people, and we're all just trying to to fulfill a duty and a job. And like, oh, I'm very blessed and love what I do. But like, I thought I was going to be a firefighter or a pastor, dude. I didn't think I was going to be a baseball player. And, I'm just,
always still pursue those dreams.
yeah, dude, it's, now I'm doing some construction consulting, and it just filling in gaps and filling time, dude, because I can't just sit around. During COVID, I got bored over in Korea by myself, so I got an Oregon real estate license. I've never bought and sold one house, but I was like, oh, I wonder this is like really intriguing to me. Let me see what this is all about. So I did it. It's just like this. Now I'm working on my CCB to have a contractor license. Just like, I just love the process of things. And you never know what you're going to need down the road in life. And, I'm still trying to throw baseballs and play baseball. And I don't know if coaching's in the cards for me. I don't know if broadcasting in the cards for me. I've been told, hey, those are definitely both avenues for you. But like, I don't know, there's literally nothing guaranteed in baseball. So it's just like, I'm just trying to make sure I'm prepared and ready to go for whatever's next.
Yeah. I mean, I believe several ball players are like that. They're doing something in the off season. They want to do something in the off season besides baseball. Yeah. Right. So kind of like what you were talking about with, construction consulting, you said you tried real estate. That's pretty awesome, man. And like I said, if there's a lot of things that you could pursue, I'm sure, coaching, like you said, broadcasting, you got your own YouTube channel, right? Or
we had a podcast that we ran for a lot of episodes, a couple years. But I think I might have a YouTube channel, but I haven't put any effort into it, honestly. I don't really have a YouTube channel. I think there's some stuff on it from like back in the day, but I don't think I've really ever done. I've not done a good job keeping up or tried to grow it. Never once tried to been an influencer or turn it into that. It was kind of before YouTube was super profitable and really a thing, is when I was kind of on there dabbling. But the podcast stuff I loved. And the guys that I was working with on it just got busy because we started it during COVID and their jobs picked back up. Right. So they're busy. And so one was an educator, one's a pastor. And so they were just, when the world opened up again, they were back to work and unavailable as much. And it just kind of is what it is. But I got all those reps and I enjoyed it. And I could definitely see myself being in that kind of that seat to be a broadcaster at some kind of level with that. Because it just seems to me like a little more family time, a little less time commitment than being a coach and being gone all the time. Whenever that day gets here for me. But yeah, it's I don't know. There's never been a plan B, and I still don't have a plan B. I just kind of always just plan A has been baseball, and here we are 17 years later still doing it. So just feel blessed and lucky to do it. But I also know that like the end is near. I don't know how near. Like, is it like near like next month, or is it near like 4 years from now? Like, I don't know. I thought I got the Cubs let me go this year, and I came home and thought my season was done. And then Team USA called and was like, hey, I want you to be on the 60-man roster for the 12 youth or for the Premier 12 tournament. And so I kept my arm going, got everything going again. And then a couple weeks ago, they called and said, hey, you didn't make the 28-man roster. And it's like, hey, thanks for the consideration, dude. Like, I appreciate it, because it's always been a dream to put on the red, white, and blue, right, and go throw baseballs. And so there's just like little things like that keep me going. And it's like, dude, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect those guys to call and finally be like, hey, we want to put you on the 60-man roster and have you in consideration for this tournament. So it's just like, I've learned that, I can't put the cart before the horse, right? I just got to keep doing the work and see what happens. But just try to always be prepared to it, because at the end of the day, I got, a wife and a family to take care of. So there's a lot more than just baseball in my life. But I'm definitely very grateful to everything baseball's given to me.
Yeah, for sure. So, with you being released by the Cubs, right?
Yeah.
What's the game plan for you then? Are you trying to, have a team get on a team, or what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just working out. So I came home, been going to PT because I'm 36 in a month. So you just got to make sure that you got stuff lined up. And, but I've been going to PT and just making sure I'm dialed in there and just really getting myself ready. I train with Driveline. So just kind of this is where it really starts to pick up of me trying to get not signed, because that's not going to happen for me probably until like a Driveline Pro Day situation. So I'll just get ready for that at the end of January, go pitch in front of teams. And if I can do something cool, like hit, I don't know, for me, like a 93 to 95 range with the velocity is probably where I need to be, even though I don't throw that many fastballs. Just go try to do that so that somebody can see that and just be like, oh, you know, Dan's played for 16 years and has had 2 injuries. So we'll take a chance to have somebody like that around that can fill holes and be needed in the major leagues and can be trusted. That's really what I am, right? I'm an old vet at this point that I've been nothing but durable for an entire career, and like legitimately missed 6 starts in 16 years.
That's pretty bad. I would say that's solid, man, because they're
that doesn't. No, it doesn't. You know, it doesn't. They don't make them like me anymore. They really don't. Like, that's kind of like a old man thing to say. But no, I've been very blessed with health, and obviously I've played through things that I probably shouldn't have played through. But I've been very blessed with health, and so I just like, you know, dive into that durability card and hope that somebody sees that and it's like, hey, we could use this. We need somebody like Dan on our AAA team, and like that's all I want, man, is a chip in a chair where I can go work my ass off and be in a spot that when they need somebody, they're like, we want Dan. Like, I don't ever want the pity card of like, oh, let's give this guy a shot or that. Like, I want to get somewhere and actually earn my way, like a 22-year-old prospect where they're just like, we need Dan. Like, this is the guy we need on our team. And so that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm working for. And, you know, good Lord willing, it'll happen. And if not, like, that's okay too. You know, that's okay too. But if nothing else, man, I'm showing my son that, like, if you want something in life, you got to go work for it. And there's going to be sacrifice and there's going to be hardships along the way. It's not going to go smooth. It's not going to go easy. But I ain't backing down, and I'm working for what I want in this world. And like, if I don't make it back to the big leagues, but I get to show him that lesson, then I've won. I've already won.
How old is your son?
He'll 7.5.
7.5. Is he?
Yeah.
Does he have any aspirations of playing baseball, or
That's all he does?
That's all he does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
he's a lefty. He's got his Dansby Swanson baseball room all set up. It's his favorite player. And
nice.
yeah, we just baseball is his absolute favorite thing. Does the 8U travel ball. He just can't wait. It's his first year. So we'll see. It's more of just like a team practice, and they play a couple tournaments in the summer locally. But like, to him, it's the coolest thing in the world. It's his big leagues. And so I'm just excited to be his fan and be his coach when he wants me, and just kind of and you know, live through him vicariously on his baseball journey whenever mine ends. But I've been really blessed to have a kid that really just loves baseball as much as I do.
Yeah, like father, like son, huh? He's trying to follow in dad's footsteps.
Yeah,
that's amazing, man. I hope it really works out for him, man. I hope you know, he's able to get into the majors when he gets older. That would be awesome. Kind of have that family lineage, you know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be a really, really fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this because you said, they don't make them like me anymore. Durable players, right. You know, we're seeing a lot of injuries with players, not just with pitchers, just players. It doesn't matter what position that they play. What's your take on it? Is it just because these guys don't take care of themselves, or they just don't? Do you find them just weak, or like what's your take?
No, dude, no. There's like, I am nowhere near medically qualified to answer any of these questions.
Yeah, and I don't expect it. Yeah.
I just think it's just a matter of genetics, is my guess. Like, it's all about, you know, workloads and everything else, but like you genetically, like, some guys are made to throw 100 miles an hour and some guys aren't, right? And some guys can, and their bodies don't like it and they break down. Doesn't mean they shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're all built different, and I just feel like it's just part of the game, and it's just a shitty part of the game, but it is part of the game, right? And it's just kind of, it's not like, I don't think that it means we're necessarily doing things wrong. I just think it means that we're getting to a spot where we're absolutely pushing ourselves physically as baseball players. That guys are just breaking, and like, it just kind of is what it is. We're pushing our bodies to the fullest. We're being compensated for it, and we're entertaining for it, right? We're checking off all the boxes that need to be checked off to make it a thing. And it sucks, but it's just kind of part of the game. And, it's like, I think anybody that could tell you the answer to how to fix the Tommy John epidemic and all the other stuff, like if that existed, that person would be the richest person in baseball, because there's a lot of investment dollars tied up in those injuries that take a year to heal and everything else. But I think it's just, everybody's throwing harder. The demand is there, and there's a lot of games, and we're just getting used as much as possible, and from relief pitchers, and workload management is taken care into consideration most of the time, but still, like, that's still kind of shooting in the dark on what that is worth and how to handle it. And so there's just all these other like kind of influences to it that it just comes down to my honest guess at it is like some guys just genetically have it or some guys just don't. I've always said I don't throw hard enough really to get hurt, but at the end of the day, like for whatever reason, my body just has been able to withstand all the thousands of throws that I've made, and not have anything completely rip off my body yet, and so we'll see what happens. We've still got some throws left to make, but I feel very blessed in that, and I don't have a reasoning or an answer why, as to why. I don't know what I've done different than somebody else, but it could just be as simple as genetics from mine versus somebody else's too. So
Yeah, what about with like analytics? Because that's a big thing in baseball now, right? And it's not going nowhere.
right.
Because analytics always says throw the ball hard, and these guys,
Oh yeah.
going 100 miles per hour, and it's a lot of strain on the arm.
Right.
Do you think analytics may have something to do with that, and how do you feel about analytics just as a whole?
Yeah, so I've actually been a part of 2 analytic startup companies.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, what analytics are to me versus somebody else is just very different. But at the end of the day, like, analytics are just giving you an answer to what happened before a lot of times. I was in predictive analytics, so we were trying to really hard to figure out how to help guys get more outs more efficiently. But at the end of the day, like, all these teams have all these different numbers on, how long they think guys are going to be good for and when they're going to break down and all this kind of stuff. And they're not always correct, right? So it just kind of shows you how much analytics are still kind of a guess at certain times. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, like, we do know that throwing harder is better, and guys aren't going to try not to be the best version of themselves. There's a place and time for every bit of analytics. And I think as long as there's certain places that, that like teams know how to present it to players at certain times, I think that's what it comes down to, like where they can have it set up where the people speaking to the player knows how to talk to a player, not just say what they're trying to say. How much am I trying to get at here? So like some teams overuse analytics and some teams don't use them enough, I feel. And the teams that overuse them, a lot of times it's just in the delivery. They just don't have somebody that knows how to like go approach a guy and tell him that his slider sucks. Like the guy just walks up and like says his slider sucks, and it makes it so now there's like a huge divide between like what the analytics are trying to say, or the analysts are trying to say, versus what they mean to say, right? So I think there's just a certain place, and there's a lot of coaches that understand it, and they're doing a really good job of like how to integrate the two things side by side. But like analytics aren't going anywhere. It's just a huge part of the game. It's integrated in the dugouts. It's integrated in everything we do as baseball players. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think that we're still trying to figure out, and I don't think we've just probably barely scratched the surface on what it all means.
Yeah, I just feel like like you said, some teams do a good job of using analytics, and other teams may not do as good of a job. So I was gonna say you need to have that healthy balance between analytics and just putting your eyes on the game, because you still need to put eyes on the game. You still need to have that old school feel, right? And how do you? And then I know you probably need to go here in a few minutes. And last thing I wanted to ask you real quick, again, you've been in the majors 17 years, right? how do you feel about all the rule changes, all the new rules that have been implemented? I always like to ask ball players that question, man, because everybody's got a different feel for or opinion on all these different rules. And now they're talking about. I read that they're going to implement for spring training. I think they're going to test out the balls and strikes, the robots. I think.
Yeah. So what you do is you top your head if you think the umpire was wrong, and you're only allowed to be wrong twice as a team. So like if a pitcher says, "Hey, that was a strike," you called it a ball, and it's confirmed it was a ball, then you lose one of your challenges, and you only get two. You can only be wrong twice a game. You can be right as many times as you want, but you can only be wrong twice.
I see.
And so it's entertaining and it's interesting. Like you get a really good idea of what the strike zone is when you go pitch to those things, which is weird because like you start to really be humbled when you throw a close pitch and you're like, "Oh, that's a strike," and you go back and look and you're like, "Well, it's actually a ball." Okay. But all of it is just in the spirit of let's get this right. Let's get the call right. Let's get the game, the true outcome down. Let's figure out what happened, right? It's all in the spirit of just trying to get the calls right. And there's such a human element to this game that has just been forever part of it. And I've seen a lot of things change, right? We've seen the bases get a little bit bigger. We've seen guys no longer being able to plow through players. We've seen sliding rules. We're not allowed to use anything sticky on the mound now. Way back when I hit Elvis Andrus on a slider. Next pitch, I threw another slider and hit Ian Kinsler, and the umpire comes out, puts the ball in my glove and says, "Do you have anything sticky on your hands?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "You should probably think about getting something." It's like those days are gone where it's just like, it's just a different game. And it doesn't mean what he said was the right thing to say to a player. Right. But like let's not kid ourselves. Like if you weren't being absurd, nobody cared. Like it was all in the name of trying to get a grip on the baseball, and it was all in the name of like this ball is very slippery. And so there's like all these different kind of rule changes that have been going on. And I think in large part, I like the pitch clock stuff. No one needs to sit there and watch Grant Balfour walk around the mound for 37 seconds just to throw one pitch. Albeit it does add to some of the drama in like big game moments. I get it. But I like that it's, I do enjoy that quick pace. I truly do. But I think that as a player, balls and strikes, let's get those right. Okay. I understand that. We don't need it to be automatic. I like kind of the integration of, we still have a live human calling balls and strikes and the ability to challenge. I think that if there's anything that they should automate, it should be fair or foul. I think asking a human being to make a judgment on a ball hit rated as nutsack from 120 feet away, and while he's jumping up in the air to watch this ball, let's get that one right. Tennis already figured that one out with their cameras. Let's jump in and use their technology for it. I think that one's would be a pretty low hanging fruit on the what we should be doing tree there, but. I'm not against all of it. Don't get me. I think there's a lot of good. And I think that as long as it's all geared toward, let's get the call right, we're headed the right direction as a sport and as a game.
And do you also like the ghost runner?
Oh, the extra innings thing?
Yeah.
Dude, I've been a part of so many 18-inning games in my life.
I'm sure. So
I don't mind the runner on second base thing. I think it's better than like a home run derby to end a game. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think it's better than that. But at the end of the day, like, I'd rather do ghost runners than ties. In Korea, it's 12 inning max. You just play regular baseball, but it's 12 inning max. And the 12th inning, if you're still tied, ball game over.
Oh, wow.
You have a tie on your record, and it doesn't help you at all. It actually kind of hurts both teams because it's a winning percentage. So it counts as a loss for both teams basically, because you didn't win the game. So it's kind of, it really doesn't help anything. But you didn't win. So you don't get positive for that. You didn't lose either, but it's kind of a loss on paper because you didn't win. So
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I always like to ask those questions because every player, whether it's current or former,
Right.
they have a different opinion on it. I know a lot of the old school guys, they hate all these new rules, but some ex-ball players and current ball players don't mind them.
Yeah.
Um, they just roll with the punches, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but Dan, anything else? I know you got to get going. Anything
I
else
gotta
you want?
go. I gotta go pick my dog up from grooming. That's where I
Oh,
gotta go.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
important.
got it's the stuff that gets dropped on you. The honey-do list is a cam or a skylight calendar that I have to check daily for all the things that I'm supposed to make sure I get
Yeah,
done.
well, I don't want you to get in trouble with your wife.
No,
So,
you're good. You're good.
all right.
They told me 11:30. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late." They said, "All right, just be here by noon." So I still got a few minutes, but we'll be good, man. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for bringing me on. I enjoy it. I love talking baseball. A huge fan of baseball. I'm glad you didn't ask any World Series questions or anything like that because I was elk hunting. I missed every single game, but I really do appreciate you having me here, and best of luck to you going forward, and best of luck to the show. So appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know, again, in the off season, I know you're busy, but thank you for coming on, and wish you the best. Hopefully, things work out for you in your future endeavors, man.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right, take care. Have a good day. All right, folks. Yeah, that was the. I hope you all enjoyed Dan. I know I'm sorry I didn't take any questions from anybody. I know there was a few questions out there, but hopefully he was able to answer some of the questions you all had or were thinking of. But yeah, Dan's cool. Dan Straley's a cool guy. I hope things work out for him in the future, whether it's pitching in the majors or anything that he does outside of baseball. I hope you all enjoyed the interview. So I will have another interview tomorrow. And shout out to Nithin Ramachandra and his team for setting up these interviews. Those guys, Nithin and his team are always working hard. I know I always say that, but they're always working hard. I'll be talking with pitcher Aaron McGarity. He will be on the show tomorrow at 4:00. So he did pitch in the Yankees minor league system. So it'd be cool to kind of get his thoughts on what it was like pitching for the Yankees minor league system. Because we're always hearing so many things about the Yankees minor league system and the development of players. I wanted to get his thoughts on that. It'd be cool to talk to him about that. But I do hope that you all did enjoy the interview. I'm going to try and do as many interviews as I possibly can in the off season, and I hope to see more people in here. And I know there's no baseball, right? So at least with the interviews, y'all could tune in. I want to get some. I would love to get some big names on here. Again, I've talked to Nithin about this, and him and his team, they're trying. So we'll see what happens, folks. But I got another interview tomorrow. This time it was Aaron McGarity, and again, always cool to have ex ball players or current ball players come on the show and give their insight. It's always cool to get their insight on this type of stuff. So, but I wanted to give a shout out to CT Cards, Ken, Nithin, Desiree, Stephen B. Who else did we have in the chat? John the Beagle Dad, Sean Browning, Real Bill P. I know Ken was in the building. Joe was in the building. What's up, Joe? Real Bill, how's it going? Chris Dudley, appreciate you, man. Also, Patrick St. Clair, appreciate you tuning in as well. Thank you for popping in. But thank you all for popping in. If you watch this on X, thank you for watching this on X. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow, folks. Make sure you all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this channel out with everyone you know. Let's continue growing this thing and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you all tomorrow, and have a good day, everyone. See y'all later.